What's up, guys? It's Ben 2000 Yugioh, your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh superhero, and today, guys, I'm gonna let you guys know what my top 10 favorite decks are. Stick around. Hey! What's up, guys? So, before we get into this video, I have a few announcements I'm going to make. As you guys can see behind me, my bed is naked, pretty much, for the most part. I'm about to be moving out of this area and into another area of my home. I'm basically swapping rooms with somebody, so as family is moving back in, so I have a few challenges up ahead, and so unfortunately you guys are only going to get one video this week. You may not get a Sunday video, but that being said, I'm going to take another whack at giving a live stream, because the last time I tried, it was just awful. Awful. And I know you guys deserve better than what I was delivering. Now, I did get a better internet package, which has, like, I want to say quadrupled my internet speed, so hopefully, when it's all said and done, I've moved into the new space, and it's temporary move, but you know, once I've moved into the new space, set everything up, and I will use the new internet, and then we will have a successful live stream. So bear with me there, and hold me accountable to that in the comments. Don't let me forget, okay, guys? I'm counting on you. That being said, since you're only getting one video on this channel, I do have something else to offer you, because I have two channels. So I had to give at least one video per channel. So if you haven't had enough of Ben 10,000 of Yugioh, perhaps you would like my more realistic, you know, this side of me that is not Yu-Gi-Oh, which is all just, you know, my vlog / geek channel, the Unbound series channel, which that name might be subject to change as well, but we're not getting into that at the moment. I will be doing an Unbound, what I call an Unbound death battle, where I will be pitting the Ghost Rider versus Spawn. That will be on Friday, so make sure you guys go to the Unbound channel on Friday. I will have the link in the description below, and if you're on a PC or a Mac, it will be during one of the little bubbles that's around this area right here. So, without further ado, let's get into this list of my top 10 favorite decks. So, number one, you guys should probably, we should just go ahead and start with the very obvious. The reason why I'm doing this video is because I get asked this question a lot, like, what are your favorite decks? And I've been getting asked this question over and over again, so this time I'm going to make a video of that way you guys know exactly what my top 10 favorite decks are. So, the first one is the obvious one, Lightsworn. I have been playing Lightsworn since, I want to say, I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! In, I want to say, like, the very beginning of the Synchro era, I should say. So as soon as they started having, like, the tin box for, like, Stardust Dragon and Red Dragon Archfiend, that's about when I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh!, give or take, from a kid to an adult, so, you know, bear with me here, guys. And I came across the Lightsworn deck, and I built it, and I enjoyed it, and, I always had issues with it. I've always tried to perfect it, and then I really, as time gone on, I just got better with the deck, and it's kind of been this deck that I've always stuck with, because, truth is, I don't know why the Lightsworn deck has always kind of stuck with me, and then, on a personal note, one of the reasons why I'm so connected to the deck now is because I'm a Wiccan, so, one of my patron deities actually has a card representation in my favorite archetype, so I have a deep connection with that deck. It's very much a, you know, I wouldn't call it a spiritual representation of myself, but it's definitely an aspect of me. So, without further ado, let's get into the next ones on these lists, and I do have my little cheat sheet here, so I do some things analog. I'm a little old school that way. So the next one I'm going to tell you guys about is Mermail. Now, I wouldn't be able to play this deck if it wasn't for the Shadows of Valhalla, so thank you, Konami, for reprinting the big Mermail monsters that I basically... Mermails have never really been a budget deck for me, and I mean, to be honest, I play things in my own way. I've never really kind of I don't really stick to trends. I play with what I have and what I can afford to buy, and then I make the best of what I got. That's just who I am as a person. I've always been this very resourceful person, so my version of Mermail probably would not look like a very competitive version, but I actually do enjoy the deck. It's kind of like a water version of Lightsworn almost, for me anyway. So it's really cool. I like the idea of being able to attack twice with Abyss Megalo and do a crap ton of damage, and you know, it's kind of like one of the better beat stick decks. Another cool thing I like about it, like Lightsworn, is you don't need a lot of magic and trap cards. Sometimes you need very little. Alright, the next one on my list is the Thunder family deck, or Hunder deck as it's called. That's another one that's on my top list. I really liked this one because there was this, I can't remember his name for the life of me. He used to go to my locals, and he used to top, like, every time he went, he would top with Thunder family, and I was always impressed by that so much that I even took my own swing at it. Now, granted, I've never had the success that he has with it, but that's never quite turned off my love for the deck. Even though I know it can't compete right now, it's still kind of a fan favorite with me. So Hunders I think are one of the coolest decks, and the family aspect I think is interesting. And there's tons of Thunder monsters you can mix with them. You can mix Thunder King in there and play something like Bro Hunder, it's really neat that way. Alright, the next one is my version of Plant Synchro, which is almost more like Black Rose Spam. I know that's a weird idea for a deck, and I've never perfected it, but I would love to, but that doesn't stop me from trying. And I oftentimes end up like, oh, I'll just do one Black Rose, you know what I mean? But it's plant monsters, synchro summoning a whole lot, abusing cards like Spore and Glow Bulb. It's been pretty good. And, another more competitive player I've kind of looked up to for a long time and always kind of aspired to maybe one day be able to beat him, this was when I was younger, not so much now that I'm older, a little more realistic. I used to aspire to want to beat Billy Brake in a duel, and do it with, kind of one of his versions of a deck, or of my version of one of his decks. But, I'm older now, I'm a little more realistic in realizing I probably can't do that, but that's just because that guy is that skilled a player, and I am more of the guy who wants to inspire you to play what you want, but play it to the best of your ability, Anyway, I digress. Next one on the list is Cyber Dragons. Yep, I've been playing Cyber Dragons for a long time. My favorite combo from back in the day was DNA Surgery, and Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. I used to love turning stuff into robots and then going... Basically, I was doing the Mega Fleet trick with extra steps before Mega Fleet was here. Which I've always enjoyed that idea of like, oh, everything's a robot, now I'm just going to absorb it all, and then I'm going to pummel you with it. Little Iron Man, The next one I have on my list is another, I want to say, newer deck, because it's only a few years old, I believe, or only a year old or something like that. Phantasm Hero. Now, I came across this deck because of Mega Capital G. I'll admit that. But I decided to test it out, and kind of build my own version of it, and I came to really enjoy it. Now, granted, it's equal parts frustrating, because if you open a handful of normal monsters, you might as well just concede. But if you don't open a handful of normal monsters, you only draw one or two. It's good games, boys. I love just... It's like hand trap the deck with actual trap cards. It's kind of funny. I like the Phantasm Hero deck, and I also like, because I understand how it works so often, it doesn't usually work against me. So perks why you should probably learn meta decks, just FYI. The next one on my list is Six Samurai. I know you guys saw my Superman build, as I call it, where that's any build that I throw in Shinai and Yugioh. So any build that I build with Six Samurais and I throw those two in there, I call it the Superman build, and I've called it that since Storm of Ragnarok. So I'm a little bit like, I enjoyed abusing Gateway and just, summon back in the day. And by the time I actually got the Six Samurai deck fully, functional, I think Gateway was at 1, Shien was at 1, so by the time I got to it, it was a little too late. But nonetheless, it was really cool to get to it. and get to play with it, and I've enjoyed the deck ever since. You know, because who doesn't love samurais? You know, the Code of Bushido. I don't know why I would like samurais. No, I didn't. Me like samurais? Alright, the next one is, you guys should probably guess this one. I've probably done a few deck profiles like this on the channel. Dark Magician. Yugi is one of my favorite characters out of all of the Yu-Gi-Oh arcs. I like Yugi because he's friendly. He's been picked on a lot as a kid. I can relate to those things. I was a friendly kid. I got picked on a lot as a kid. So, yeah, I relate to Yugi in that aspect alone. Everything else, I mean, I can't play games to that level, but I can always dream. So the thing was, like, you know, and when the Dark Magician cards came out, and then they got their new support, and then they got the decks where they had like the Cyber Dragon and the Pendulum and the Dark Magician stuff. And now it was all a little bit cheaper, and my best friend actually bought me that box for my birthday because he knew that I wanted to build that deck, but I never could because I couldn't afford to buy those expensive-ass cards. So he spent $30 and basically got me the deck, and I've been able to play my own version ever since. The next one is Blue Eyes. I mean, obviously, who doesn't like Kaiba? He's one of the best rivals in all of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. And let's face it, in Little Karibo's version of him, it's hilarious. Screw the rules, I have money. Now, this next one is probably gonna be a little bit surprising to you guys. But before we get to the last deck that's on the list, I'm going to throw an honorable mention, which is actually Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs is the honorable mention. The reason why is because I do play Dinosaurs, but I put Dinosaurs and Lightsworn are actually kind of on the same level for me personally. It's just like Dinosaur, those are the two decks I will take to a regional anytime I go. Either some variant of Lightsworn or some variant of Dinosaurs. They're cheap, they're easy to play, they have really big power plays, and, you know, anytime that the only bit of money I really have to spend is maybe 50 bucks altogether, I call that a win. And the last deck that is on my list that you guys probably didn't know is one of my top favorites was Dragoonity. I like the Dragoonity deck, and also thanks to Shadows of Valhalla, I am finally able to play the Dragoonity deck to its full potential, because for the longest time, I could not justify buying Vajrayanas for the longest time. And then my buddy, my best friend, Edwin, I think you've seen him on the channel a few times, he bought 3 boxes of the Shadows of Valhalla, and he has no Dragoonity cards. So he pulled a Vajrayana in every box and just gave them to me, because he's like, he looked at me and says, you're the only guy I know who plays Dragoonities. And yes, I know all my versions were bad because I didn't play Vajrayana. Oh, did I know? I had to use, like, once we got Qs, I had to use this weird deck where I was like, this is my real life deck, not the version you guys have probably seen on the channel previously. I had to do this weird, like, with Barca or whatever, I think that's how you say his name, or Baka, the level 8 Dragoonity. Yeah, there was this play I used where I just kind of abused the ability to summon Qs and Phalanx and just went for link plays. But realistically, that's not how you want to play Dragoonities. It is very slow. It is very hard to pull off. Don't do that. Use that as a play later. Like, that's a finishing play. Don't use that as, like, your whole play. Just FYI. So there you go, guys. That has been my top 10 decks of all time. With the, I guess you want to count with number 11 being Dinosaurs being my my honorable mention. These decks all kind of have a interesting, like, you can kind of see as a player I have a variety of ways I like to play the game. I have a little bit of control, a little bit of stun, a little bit of aggressiveness. I'm a mixed bag as a player. So the things that draw me usually are art. Particularly, every one of these archetypes has, for me, that I've mentioned, has really good art, and I like their play styles and how they are underrated, so to speak. I really like underrated cards. I've never been a player who has wanted to play the meta the way the meta is meant to be played, necessarily. Like, for example, when Dragon Rulers were the big thing, I did play Dragon Rulers back then because I had a good paying job at the time. But I played Synchro Rulers, Gears because it was cheaper than playing the regular Dragon Ruler deck. So when everybody else had to switch gears, I was already playing that deck. It was pretty fun. That was funny because I was already doing that. I was like, no change for me, guys. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and let me know what you think. Also, guys, again, I am so sorry you're only getting one video from me, but like I said earlier, make sure you come to my other channel on Friday and check out Ghost Rider vs. Spawn. It would mean the world to me if you guys would check that video out and leave some comments below and tell me what you think. And also, guys, you feel on the subject of that video, feel free to disagree with me, feel free to criticize me. I want to make that series better, and I would love you guys' help. So, if you're interested in any of that, I appreciate it. Anyway, guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and to the new guys who are here, thank you. I appreciate you, each and every one of you. It means the world to me that anyone even bothers to watch my silliness. So, without further ado, I'm Yugioh, your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh superhero, and I'm signing off. Peace, guys.